Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here. It is the Daily Drop. And folks, we got a new CIA Director and Secretary of State. I know that's big news. I know that a lot of people are talking about this, but I really feel like I also have to be talking about this, okay? Because it is important. It is big news. And I've heard people say, oh, this is a presidential move. This is the move. We're doing it. Look, we got a big oil guy out of there, and now we've got a guy who said, you know what, those JFK files, maybe not. Maybe not. Those 6 months are almost up. Are we going to get those documents? Now, I've done a whole video telling people exactly how they're going to know whether those documents are actually released. The key is the DeBruy Memorandum. Warren C. DeBruy did the initial FBI investigation into the JFK assassination for the department. It is over 800 pages long, verified, okay? Possibly much larger, I don't know, but they kept that entire thing away from the public, along with the document that talks about the DeBruy Memorandum. But that's a whole nother deal. Pompeo, not a good guy, not a guy we want as Secretary of State. Okay, but this woman that he's got, and again, Trump is a smart man. He's playing it smart. There's nothing dumb about this move. You know, he gets to see, look, I'm not a misogynist. And by the way, I don't think he's more of a misogynist than most political leaders. He's certainly, from what I've seen, not as egregious as many. The man likes women, and now he's put a woman in charge of the CIA, and that's fine. But you notice how this plays, I've seen headlines now, it plays along with the storyline out of Homeland. Have you noticed that? Has anybody else made that connection? Now we've got a woman CIA director. I've actually seen those in the news. The bottom line is this woman ran a black site facility where they tortured people. Now they talk waterboarding in the articles. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what kind of things they're doing in these black sites in other countries? Not the black sites we have here in the United States. And believe me, there are black sites here in the United States. They may not be in as of abundance, but they are certainly here. Okay, this woman, I'm sure, she doesn't have much empathy for human beings if you're running black sites for the CIA. I'm just saying. And you know who else doesn't have empathy for human beings? That's this next story right here, folks. And we got to take a look at it. Peter Scully, now this is 60 Minutes, and I'm glad 60 Minutes has done this, expose. But basically a man who is accused of egregious things with children. Right now, we're talking about something that's really almost nothing compared to what he actually did, okay? This guy, apparently, allegedly, I believe he's in there right now for raping a 12-year-old girl. Absolutely horrible. But he looks like one of the traffickers. We're talking children, murder, and sex shows on the dark web. This is the guy. This is what that looks like, okay? He doesn't look much different from other people. And the really crazy thing about this story, but it's not so crazy when you know who his clientele are, is that the Australian taxpayers, the government, footed the bill on this guy for his legal bills through some bullshit program. Let's just say it. That's what it is. They set up these programs to make you think that they're helping people, but really they're backup systems for when their guys get caught. So they have a way to not only get them prosecuted to a lesser extent, but in this case, take care of the bills. Okay? That's the truth. It's very upsetting. I don't care for it. But again, it's what we got, folks. It's what is happening, and there's not much more to say about it. You hope that this investigation goes further, that we actually get some bigger fish, but as we've seen in the past, these investigations are often cut off at one person. That one person is usually not prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Dennis Hassard, I'm looking at you, and many, many others. And these investigations into things like John Podesta's emails never happen. But we got a superhero in the White House, folks. But we just can't seem to find and prosecute the pedophiles. I'm not buying it, and neither should you. Now, this one is a big story, okay? Because the Syrian conflict is huge right now. Now, first of all, the media is spinning that Al-Qaeda is our ally in Syria now, okay? And they've been doing that for a long time, okay? When they made that transition from Al-Qaeda into ISIS as the new fear-mongering thing, they're saying that Al-Qaeda's taken some hits in Damascus, but who are they fighting? Well, they're fighting Assad. These are the Syrian rebels. And then we have drone bombings of Russian mercenaries, over 200 of them. When they say dozens, over 200. Can you imagine if 200 men and women who had served in our military and then went on to things like XE services, which was Blackwater, and all these other PMGs, aka private military groups, if 200 of them didn't come home in the United States, we'd be calling for blood. And there's been almost a huge media blackout. And this is what's taken place in Syria. And now we have this. Okay? Russia says U.S. plans to strike Damascus, pledges military response. So we now have a full-on proxy war between Russia, one of the biggest military powers in the world, if not the largest, compared to the United States, going on in Syria. It's hot. You know, and I posted this article over here on my Facebook, and somebody was like, oh, Putin will never, he'll never strike against Putin. He's Putin's bottom bitch. No, man, the strikes are already happening. The hot war, the military strikes against one another, Russia and the United States, are already taking place on a smaller level. If you can call 200 people dying a small level. But if you don't think there's a hot war going on over in Syria, over whether or not Assad gets to keep his power, mainly because of, unfortunately, central banking position and their alignment with, Brazil, Russia, China, India, in the BRICS nations, that's what this war was really about. Another holdout from the big banks that was a second world nation, a secular nation on its way to becoming a first world nation outside of the globalist power structure. Okay? And unfortunately, that is the reality here. And we're going to go to a final story because, I didn't even know this happened. Now, on March 3rd, okay, and this is a bare bones article. There doesn't seem to be anything about this on the web, but it was on the cover of, I believe it was All Otsego, which is like a local paper we get here in Oneonta that covers Cooperstown. It's about 20 miles away. I've worked in and out of Cooperstown for a long time now, and obviously been in and out of there my entire life. Well, I guess since I was 12 years old. Okay, so the better part of 25 years. Okay, and they had Army Blackhawks. Now, this article right here on All Otsego doesn't really do it justice, and perhaps there's a bigger article that they also ran in the paper. But let me tell you what they did. They literally landed Black Hawk helicopters behind the Hall of Fame. Now, Cooperstown is not a big area. Main Street, there's a few offshoots, and then you get to the lake, and then there's a large hotel, a rather nice one, and that's about it. That's really about it. And then you're in and out of the town. There's some shops, and that's it. Now, they took 4 Black Hawk helicopters and ran a training exercise with locals and students where apparently, and again, this is really just a disturbing conditioning drill because in the 90s, black helicopters didn't exist. Then they're running training exercises in bigger cities by night, and now they're running them here next to me in Cooperstown, New York, right by the Hall of Fame. Okay, the Bassett Center, where I believe they landed, is directly next to the Hall of Fame, which is not large, by the way. It's actually where I took my bartenders to be trained in, or my bouncers to be trained in I think it was to get our security licenses. You know, we did that at the Hall of Fame. There's a lot of other stuff going on there because it's only a tourist town, really 3-4 months out of the year. Side note, this little town, and we are little, I promise you, over there 20 miles out, we're in the country, baby. 4 Black Hawk helicopters, the National Guard, running some kind of a doomsday scenario where rogue elements are going into museums and taking artifacts, and there's a makeshift mayor and there's a makeshift sheriff. And it's really disturbing to me that this has become so mainline, okay, so mainline in America in 2018 that nobody even blinks an eye, and that I was completely unaware. Had I known this was going on, of course I would have went down there and filmed it. This happened 11 days ago. I had no idea. So, you know, Blackhawks coming to a neighborhood near you. With that, I want to thank you all for coming down to the Daily Drop. We'll be doing this at noon, hopefully every single day, at least 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. We also repost this, if you want it in YouTube format to share with people, over at the Pulse Change channel. Please subscribe. It's our backup YouTube channel. We need your help more than ever with all this censorship. And, you know, also go to youtube.com/wearechange. Hit that like and subscribe button. We need you there as well. And if you can, go to wearechange.org and make that donation. It's only through your funding, folks, that reports like this one are possible. Thank you so much for joining me.